for joining us. This session is something that grew out of our BABOK study group. So most of the participants are people that have participated in our BABOK study group. My name is Stefan Bossuwé. I'm a joint president of the IIBA Brussels Chapter. And I'm going to present you the tips and tricks for the core business analysis certifications. But before we're going to do that, let's all put our microphone on just for a second or longer. Okay, so who amongst the participants is not from the BABOK study group, and how did you get to know this event? So, who wants to start?
Hi, Stefan.
Yeah. Mohammed?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it on LinkedIn.
Okay. And do you live in Belgium?
No, in the UK, in London.
Okay. Okay. Well, welcome. Anyone else?
Thanks.
Yeah,
sure.
Yes. Now I recognize you. Yes.
Yes. Sorry, my microphone is not working. So.
Yeah. Well, now I see the video. I recognize you. Well, welcome. Nice to have you over here. Anyone else outside the BABOK study group that has joined us?
That's me. I'm Dian Dian. I know this from IIBA because I'm a member of IIBA.
Yes, and from which chapter?
CBAP.
No, from which chapter? Where do you live?
Okay. I live in Brussels.
Oh, okay. So, okay, good to find. Someone else not from the BABOK study group that is joining us?
Yes, if you can hear me.
Yes,
this is Fred Versick. I also saw it on LinkedIn. My PM commented that
also
it
from
could
Belgium?
be interesting. Yeah, I'm also from Belgium.
Yeah. So anyone else?
Yeah, the same for me as well. The same as Fred. Also from LinkedIn. Also live in Belgium, working in Brussels.
Okay. And
I'm not from Belgium, Brussels. I'm from the Romanian chapter.
Hi, Lucia.
Yeah.
Nice having you over here.
And I found the event on the Romanian chapter Facebook page, actually.
Okay. Oh, well, good publicity. Goes fast, goes far. Good. Anyone else? Or did we have all the non-BABOK study group people joining into this session? Okay. So everyone mute the microphone. And I'm going to, before we start, I'm going to give the word to Robin. Robin, I will share my screen and show the pro forma thing that we were talking about. So Robin, you can unmute yourself and do your conversation.
Will do. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Fantastic background, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
thank you
everyone for participating in this session. This is actually the end of our second series of the BABOK study group, organized by the IIBA Brussels Chapter. And of course, I think we had about 10 participants that contributed until the end. And of course, we want to present them with a little certificate of recognition that they've participated throughout the study group. I see Stefan's screen flashing. Voila, there you go. So this is the example of Sergio. So all participants will receive this certificate of participation. Don't hesitate to put it up in your room as a wallpaper, on your LinkedIn, on your Facebook. We want to thank everyone for their participation. It was a really interesting series this year with a lot of interesting discussions. And we all hope that you found it most useful and insightful. And even if possible, that it may lead to one of the different certifications of IIBA for you. Voilà. And regarding the certifications, there we have our expert Stefan, who will help and explain how you can prepare best to apply for the different certifications there are. Stefan?
Okay, back to Brussels. No, Hove, Antwerp. Okay. So let's start. So you are recording already, Christoph?
Yes, we are recording.
So people can see on my background the different certifications. Let's hit the road.
You have to duck a little bit for the middle one, eh?
Yeah.
There you go.
CCBA. But what I have noticed is that the CCBA has become a little bit less popular, and I'll explain you later why. Why I think it is. I can't see in people's heads, but okay, everyone can see my screen loud and clear. Okay. And yeah, first of all, some agreements. If you have a question or remark, put it in the chat, and Christoph is going to interrupt, so that let's everyone mute themselves except for Christoph if he wants to say something. And if it's a question and Christoph will then interrupt me, otherwise it will become, it's a Zoom session, it become a bit difficult. And if it's necessary, the person that asked the question can unmute himself and ask the question, but first let Christoph do the moderation. So that's for the practical side of this session. Okay, how to prepare your IIBA Core Certification application. What I'm going to show is, this is a bit the overview. So we've got 3 core BA certifications. We've got some stuff to show, but let's go to those core certifications. Well, this is what you will see in my background. First of all, you have the entry certificate in business analysis. This is the youngest one. It only exists, well, 3 years, I think. The ECBA, which recognizes individuals ready to develop their BA skills, knowledge, and behaviors as practicing BA professionals. So those are people that are just starting their BA career, that don't have much experience, maybe haven't yet started, or already the first half year or something, whatever. This is the ECBA. This is for junior BAs. That doesn't mean that they have to be young, but that they just started their BA career. That's the word junior stands for. Another one is the CCBA. This one is already about 5-6 years old. No. It started, sorry, it's from 2010. This is the second oldest because we had in our previous board, we had the first CCBA in Belgium, Jean, for those who remember him. This is for skilled business analysts, business BA professionals that have 2 to 3 years of BA working experience. This is the CCBA. And then the oldest certificate, which already exists from 2006, kind of, yeah. That's the CBAP, the Certified Business Analysis Profession. That's a certification that I achieved in 2012, the first one in Belgium and Luxembourg. And that is about seasoned BA professionals that have over 5 years of practical BA working experience. So there you see what you can see. Oh, nope, that's not what you want to do. There you can see the thing that you see behind me, and those are the core BA certifications. IIBA also has some specialization certifications like the Agile, the cybersecurity, and the data analytics, but those are really specialized, and this is the core BA certifications that are dealing around everything that happens on the BABOK. Okay, now, but this is kind of information that we've seen in another session. So we have given also in the BABOK study group a session around the different certification levels. And I'm only repeating 2 or 3 of those slides, just for those people who don't know yet what the differences are. Which is besides the topic of this presentation, because I'm not even going to talk about what's different in the exams. That's something I'm not going, this is purely up to the application. So the ECBA, that's basic knowledge, that's clear. Fundamental awareness, basic skills, basic knowledge. It tries to understand no skills, no work experience, and follows the rules. So that's a rule follower. So this person has to be told the rules and needs guidance. Whereas the CCBA already has applied knowledge. Yeah, the 2-3 years, remember? A practical knowledge and practical skills. And this person already can recommend actions. Can work independently for small to middle scale projects, or in a group, in a large project, but then with more experienced people. And this is already one who knows the rules, but sometimes can modify the rules. Yeah, the CBAP, that's well, the advanced knowledge. That's clear, and it doesn't. It guides practice. Like I'm now teaching you. And creates rules. So it's not following or modifying, it's even creating new rules, new techniques and so on. Which is not impossible for a CCBA or even an ECBA, but it's more common. The competency, that's more the common, these indications over here. This information you can also find on the website. Let's see. So for example, if you go to the entry, so you have the IIBA certifications, you can click learn more, and then you get, for example, here, and then you can see the ECBA competencies. There you go, follow rules, understand basic knowledge, and so on, and so on. Just for your information. Let's go back. Everyone understood? If not, put it in the chat. Another thing which is interesting to mention, we have two different kind of certificates. The ECBA, because you don't have skills or work experience, is considered to be a certificate. Whereas the CCBA and the CBAP are considered as a professional certification. There is just something I found out while I was going through this presentation exists already for a few years. I gave it the first time somewhere in 2017 or 16, whatever. And I said, well, I have to go through it, and so quite a few things have changed. So that's this presentation is the first time I show it really updated to everything what's currently available at the website of the IIBA. And so they make a distinction between a certificate and a professional certification. And that all has to do with proven knowledge and experience. That's the only difference. Just worthwhile mentioning. I thought it was like, something I have to mention this evening. Now, so what do you need to be able to apply? So this is, again, we've got the 3 certificates, certifications. As you can see, the professional work experience is not there for the ECBA. Professional development hours, something I will mention within a few slides, which means kind of a training or having followed a workshop, not only training, but also participated to the BABOK study group, for example, and so on and so on. So those kind of stuff, you have been busy with business analysts, but proven and within the context of the BABOK. I'll explain that in a few slides. References, you don't need a reference, and you have to sign a code of conduct that you will behave yourself as a business analyst. That's nothing more than that. And now the CCBA, as I mentioned, needs to have 2 to 3 years of experience in the last 7 years. And well, which represent 3,750 hours approximately. And you have to have these hours dispersed, spread out on a number of knowledge areas. And for the CCBA, you can choose, or you have to have at least 2 knowledge areas on which you have worked at least 900 hours, or this is not and, this is or you have 4 knowledge areas on which you have worked at least 500 hours. So it's one of both. The professional development is about the same as the ECBA. Here you need 2 references. What kind of references? I will explain also in one of the following slides. And also you have, well, everyone has to sign a code of conduct. Everyone has to say like, I'm good, I'm a nice BA, and so on. Okay, last column, the CBAP. Now, this should represent about 5 years of experience in a period of 10 years time. 7,500 hours. As you can see, we are talking about hours, and that is the complicated stuff, and that's in fact the whole idea around this presentation. Showing this slide, that's easy, but it's like, how do you get to those hours? And I will help you with that. So here it's no choice, there's no option. You have to have at least 4 knowledge areas on which you have worked 900 hours. And for the PD hours, it's 35. Back in the days, a few years ago, it was 21 for all of these certifications. But it's like, nah, we should do a bit more for the CBAPs. Now it's 35 hours. So just to show you, you see that those 2, the exam is well, I'm not going to talk about the exam. Maybe at the end with the QA session, I can tell you a few things. But some people say there is no way to go from an ECBA to a CCBA or from a CCBA to a CBAP. Some people say like, in those 7 years, I already got to 5,000. Maybe I should wait 2 years longer and go immediately for the CBAP. It's an idea. A lot of people do that. Since yeah, the CCBA has never been that so popular because of the difference only in time. Back in the days, the exam was pretty much the same, a little slightly different. It has changed quite a lot today, well, a few years ago already. Okay, any question on this slide? If not, I will carry on.
For the moment, I don't see any questions in the chat popping up. Don't hesitate to use the chat for your questions in the meantime.
So we have a timeline on the whole certification. And you can see here at the bottom, ECBA is a very short one and the CCBA CBAP is longer. So there is the first period. This is the moment of the application. This is what this presentation is all about, the application. So for CCBA and CBAP, you need to gain experience, 10 years or 7 years. And for all 3 of them, you have to get PD hours, professional development hours. And that needs to be the last 4 years, like you can see, the last 4 years. The second part is to prepare your exam, to take the exam and succeed. You can take a second exam within a certain period of time if you didn't succeed the first time. And then you have the period afterwards, and that's only for the CCBA and the CBAP. You have a recertification. So every 3 years, you have to provide to show your experience, and then you can recertify and prolong and extend your CBAP or CCBA certification. So can you imagine you took a CCBA, 3 years further, you are certainly eligible for a CBAP, but you can only extend your CCBA. Well, some people choose not to do so. But, okay, so this is the whole certification lifecycle for the IIBA PA Business Analyst Core Certifications. Okay, now. But this
is the recertification doing the exam again?
No. It's only providing your. So there's only one exam in the whole certification process per certification, of course. So if you're a CCBA, you want to become after 10 years, you see like, oh, I can now go for a CBAP. You have to take again the exam. But if you're remaining in your own certification, you only have to prove that you last 3 years you've done something on business analysis. And that also goes around volunteership and so on and so on. This is much broader than only the PD, the professional development. Professional development is also included, but it goes much broader. So, but we are only going to focus on the application. This is the presentation we're talking about today. And we enlarge it, same slide, but only enlarge it. So, because we're going to do things with that. Okay. So this is the timeline up to the application. Now we're getting there. It's getting more exciting. Can you feel the tension? Yes. There we go again. So we have this application, okay? But we are now. You have some experience, you are in the present, you are now. So, but you have to come up with a realistic application date, because it takes a little time to do your application, and it will go much faster with the information that I'm going to provide you today, but it takes some time. And sometimes you may say, okay, after the application, I've got 1 year to take an exam. Okay, I would like to do the application at that moment. But you can get all your information online. You make an account. You don't have to be a member. You can online store all your information of way you've worked and what you've done and so on and so on and so on. But so you have to decide on a realistic application date, and then the application date will be the estimated application date. So starting from now on, you'll see this timeline with the estimated application date. Okay, everyone understands that? Yep. Professional development. So remember, it's about this period in time. Professional development, and that was easier in the past. It's less easier. So there are different eligibility criteria for ECBA and CCBA or CBAP. And you have to check on this website, which we will open, of course, the frequently asked questions. And there you see that for ECBA, it's not only classroom online courses, it's also webinars, conference, track sessions, chapter events. So this is wider. It's very similar to what you need to do if you want to do a recertification. It's more flexible. Whereas for the CCBA, you have to follow a training, a course. It doesn't need to be by an endorsed education provider. It doesn't need to be, but you might risk that it will be rejected. It needs to be aligned with a BABOK. So they refer quite often to this frequently asked questions page, which was not in the past. In the past, it was simply doing the handbook, the certification handbook. But what you can see is here in below, certification frequently asked questions. You click on that and you get to that page. So this
hello,
is very
Stefan. Some is asking, what do they understand under self-directed learning? Just do it yourself, or?
Yeah, probably. That's a good one. Yeah, probably it is. Mm-hmm. Probably it is. So when you make an account at the IIBA without being a member, you have to put in professional development or work experience, and you give in a type. And you can do all of those. But when you come to apply for a certification, the CCBA and CBAP will be basically only training, not the BABOK study group, for example, where this BABOK study group is included in the ECBA. So that's different. That has changed, and I also realized that a few days ago when I was going through the current documentation. And as you can see within the certification handbook, which is very short, it's about how many pages? It's 5 pages. It was so much longer in the past, but it's valid for all the different core certifications. And To find out what qualifies as PD hours, review the criteria in the certification frequently asked questions. So they refer quite often to the fact page. Just saying. So it's different and it's more complicated for, let's go back to the presentation. It's a bit more complicated for those going for the CCBA and the CBAP. Well, it should be, because it's a professional certification. Okay, now trainings provided by an endorsed education provider are eligible for all those core certifications. You can find more information on this webpage. But if you have chosen one of those EEPs, for example, many trainings are only 2 days, which is more about 14 hours, 14 PD hours. So you might have to follow two trainings or 3 trainings to get the 35 hours of the CBAP, for example. Yeah. Good. Any questions on the professional development? No? Okay. Okay, next, the work experience. So for the ECBA, nope. It's only for the CCBA and the CBAP. So how do you proceed? Remember 375 hours, 7,500 hours, the different knowledge areas. This is the heaviest of the whole application. It's getting those hours and to see how much of your time you have spent in which knowledge area. But I'll help you on that. So first of all, you have to identify the relevant roles. But how do you do that? First of all, you have to start identifying your reference period, which is 10 years for the CBAP and 7 years for the CCBA. So remember the estimated application date. That will be the end of your reference period. And of course, the start is 7 or 10 years earlier. No rocket science. That's the reference period. Yeah. Yeah. Still everyone okay? Secondly, after you have your reference period, you have to identify the relevant time periods where you have taken a specific role, performing business analyst tasks, which means only the tasks described in the BABOK are eligible. So let's go to the spreadsheet. I will enlarge it a little bit. So those are the different knowledge areas and those are the tasks. Other tasks, like for example, testing yourself, is not a BA task. Helping BA, the business with writing test scenarios and so is, but doing the testing yourself is not BA work. Well, anyway. So where you've performed BA tasks and that are or completely inside that reference period or intersecting. And that means that only the intersection periods are eligible. Okay, this is pretty mathematical, but I'm a master in mathematics, so that's my thing. So you had this reference period. So those are the roles in which you have done BA tasks. Simple as that. It's a bit more complicated in text, but if you visualize it, that's it. But remember, it's only starting from that date, 7 or 10 years earlier than the estimate application date, that this period eligible. Those are the eligible periods. Nothing more, nothing less. Good. Any questions?
No questions so far.
Okay. Then you have to go and identify.
I have one question's popping up. How does IIBA check these periods?
Could you keep that question until later in the presentation? So it's still in the chat, Christoph, can you?
Yes.
I'll reply to that. I'll reply to that, and it's also mentioned in the frequently asked questions, by the way. Good question. So B, so A was like you have to find your relevant roles, and B is identify your BA time performed on each of those relevant roles. So you have to find the working hours for each of the relevant time and eligible time periods. Don't forget. If you, for example, you have timesheets as a consultant or even internal, and quite a lot of organizations work with timesheets, you can really retrieve your working days or even working hours. Some timesheets are on working hours. Huh? That's easy then. But many of us are working for a company and you have to calculate approximately your working days. So for example, you have your start and end of your eligible time period of one given role. Then you can calculate the Excel I've shown will do that for you. Calculate the calendar days. Okay? Then you have to multiply with the average working days ratio for your country. In Belgium, that is 220. That means from the 365 days, you have all the weekends, which is subtracted, all the legal holidays, and your own holiday. So that is kind of what most companies in Belgium, social security organizations, take as the average, 220 days. So you have a period, you know how many days that is, and then you have to calculate, multiply by 220 and divide by 365. So in some countries it's more, and some countries it's less. You have to find out. Then you have to apply your work regime, full-time, 80%, part-time, and so on. And then apply your daily work regime, because in some countries or some employees have 8 hours a day or 7.5 hours, and so on and so on. And that will give you the working hours. So remember how many calendar days, how many working days you had in those calendar days, what is your work regime, and how many days, how many hours a day do you normally work, and then you get your working hours. Remember, everything in this whole application is in hours. But that is not everything. Here you can calculate your working hours coming from timesheets or coming from your working or calculated. But that's not it. You have to estimate how many of that time you have done BA work for each of those relevant periods. And then you have to do some distribution amongst the knowledge areas. Whew, quite heavy, I would say. Well, I've done it, and I've spent quite a lot of time to do it for the first time, and I know quite a lot of people also doing, having done a certification, CCBA or CBAP, have spent enormous amount of time. And I hope that with the tips and tricks I'll give you today, you can reduce a lot of that time. I will also share this Excel afterwards. So you have to, your experience, you have to document each of those relevant roles. Could put some extra information, free text, that's on the website. And for each of those roles, you have to enter contact info. Now, if, for example, you have 2 roles within the same organization, you can have different roles and 1 contact person. So each time you want to jump to another contact person, you have to create a new entry. But on one entry, you can enter different roles. For example, in one big project, and you use as a contact person the project manager, for example, you started as a functional analyst, and afterwards you became a product owner in the same project, whatever, could be. But that's a different role on which you probably have done different kind of BA work. Yeah. So, and here you got already a reply. For this, IIBA will randomly contact one of those contact people. Not for each person. They will take out once in a while, they will take Christoph or Stefan, and then they pick two of those roles out and they contact two people. That's it. It's very randomly. So question, check.
Okay, thank you.
So, and then we have those references. That can be a career manager, a client, could be a client if you're a consultant or so. Could be a CBAP recipient, doesn't need to be. But they like to have one of those two people at least having managed you for or worked together with you for at least 6 months. It's all in those frequently asked questions. So this slideshow can be outdated within a few months. Therefore, not the basic, not the concepts, but the details. And therefore, well, not those kind of stuff like the references and so on. But you always have to check the last version of the frequently asked question and also the last version of the CBAP handbook. Those references don't have to be any of those contact people that you have given on the different, oh, my internet connection is unstable. Christoph, if that happens, send me yes. WhatsApp.
Yes, no problem.
Okay.
In the meantime, there is one question
yes.
that has been sent from Mayur Naik. If your application is denied, can you amend it?
Well, it doesn't happen very often, but it could happen if they refuse your application. They have to document why. And very often you have to be careful if you enter a training, certainly for CCBA and CBAP, that is not given by an endorsed education provider. So you're taking some risk there. So to be on the safe side, you should pick an endorsed education provider for the training. Probably for the ECBA, they are more flexible. So that's about the PDs. And for your reference, for your career, well, it doesn't happen very often unless you're a big liar. Then yeah, because in fact the whole application you can fake it. You can fake it. That's possible. But you have to come up, and even your let's say your LinkedIn resume should be up to date and correspond with what you've done. You also sign this code of conduct in which you claim that everything that you have provided for your certification was correct. So that kind of stuff, and then you can apply again. So they will tell you why, and you can do another application, but you have to pay again. So, but it doesn't happen often. Maybe we should get one of those days the statistics from the IIBA, how often it happens and what the main reasons are. Yeah, that'd be a good question. Yeah, another question, Christoph, or that's it?
No, that's it for the moment.
Okay. So important reference material before we go to the Excel. So first of all, go to the IIBA certification page, which I've shown you just earlier, this one. That's easy to find. And then depending on which one you would like to do, you can click on those, and then you'll end up in one of those three sub-pages, which at the bottom you can learn, let's see, download the handbook. The Core BA certification handbook is for all three of them. And you see more information. Oh, no, that's not the one. The core competencies and so on and so on. So that's the first thing you need to do. So go to that webpage. select the certification of your choice, download the core certification handbook. I'm not going to provide you a link because that has changed the last few years, because they have a new version and they put in the link title V1 or V14. So I'm not going to provide you the link. And then especially check the frequently asked questions, especially, for example, for PD hours. But there are other information. So the certification handbook is the framework, and the frequently asked questions are giving more detail. So let's go to this Excel that I made template. So here I've got a few roles in a few initiatives, could sometimes be the same initiative. The start date of your eligible period, remember, the eligible period, and end date. This will calculate the number of days between those dates. This is the average working days in Belgium, and this will give as a result 660 working days, 371, 404. Here I indicate which work regime that I've worked on, which means that I have these actual work days, and this is the daily work regime. In this company, it's 8 hours a day, 7.5 or 7 hours, and this gives you hours. But we need this, we need hours. But if, for example, you have timesheets, you can enter here the actual days or maybe the actual hours, depending on your timesheet. So that you could do, and then you don't have to calculate it, and you enter them hard-coded in those cells. Now, at the moment you have those hours, then you have to come up with, like, how much of my time when I was doing that role did I work on business analysis? And give yourself a percentage. So it's always approximately. It's not 100% correct, but you have to give a good indication how much of your time so that will give the result, these in days and that in hours. In days, only nice to know, huh? Which in total gives you how many, okay, 7,500, I can go for a CBAP. So you can immediately see how many hours that you have done BA work. Yes, but maybe not, because you have to have at least so many knowledge areas for that you have done more than 900, so 4 knowledge areas. Yep, this one, yeah, those 3 last one, and this one, 4 knowledge areas where I've done 900 hours on, let's say, on working hours. So for each of the knowledge area, and for example, planning and monitoring, gosh, don't spend too much time on that. For example, you give, oh, in that company, in that role, I did about that time. Planning and monitoring is not always written out. Sometimes it happens in the head, but sometimes you sit and think and say, okay, I'm going to prepare. So preparing yourself for meetings, for workshops, for interviews, to think which approach you're going to take for the whole project or the following months. This is all planning and monitoring. Elicitation, collaboration, that should be a little bit more, hopefully. Requirements, lifecycle management, it's also a bit less. And then strategy analysis, well, 20%, it's not a lot of BAs will do 20%, sadly, because I think it should be important that a lot of BAs would do participate to strategy analysis. And then this is the part where most of us work a lot of time, most of our time, and testing. Preparation of testing, evaluation, and also do an assessment of your product. Even after you delivered your product, you went live, you still need to check, like, are we still there what we wanted to achieve with our project? So this spreadsheet, is there any question on that? If so, I think, well, put on your mic and ask me the question, so we don't take the bypass with Christoph. So you can ask your questions, and also, well, the QA session has started, let's make it official. So QA session has started, and well, shoot your questions, and you can unmute yourself and ask questions.
Hi, Stefan.
Yeah, hello, Mayur.
Hello. One of the chapters in the BABOK, they talk about financial calculations and financial ratios. Are we supposed to know those for the exam? You know, the formulas, how you calculate all those financials?
No. The thing is, could I move this question for a bit later, because that's even beyond the scope of this presentation. But I'll reply to that.
No problem.
Anyone else has a question? I will come back to that. Anyone has a question on the application? If not, I can reply to Mayur's questions immediately. So that is clear. Okay. Good. I'll make sure that everyone gets, because we have all the emails from people that register, that you'll get, probably we'll post it on a shared drive or something like that. And we'll send you an email for those that registered with the Zoom session. Yeah. Okay, Mayur, there we go. So the 3 different certifications, and let's go back to the presentation. And the 3 certifications, they have different exams. So the ECBA is typically about BABOK knowledge. Yeah, there you have to learn the BABOK by heart. Whereas the CCBA, it's more scenario-based, and the CBAP is case-based. And if you would like to see what kind of questions they ask, you go to this page, you take the certification that you'd like to know, and then learn more about exam sample questions. You go to those, we could do it for a second, let's see. There you go. That kind of questions. Back in the days, the 3 exams were pretty similar, but in the CBAP you had a bit more case-based questions, but still had BABOK questions. And in the CCBA, it's more scenario-based and not quite a lot of case-based, but also BABOK questions. And what I've heard now, and I haven't looked at it, let's go to the CBAP, for example. So there you go. There you get kind of questions. But this is still a bit of knowledge. So they still ask a few knowledge questions on the BABOK. But you can see that this is kind of these are the questions that you spend quite a lot of time on. You can see that. So to prepare yourself, anyway, for those questions, for the questions from the first, you have to learn the BABOK pretty well, and really pretty well. But remember, on the frequently asked questions, they will also say, for example, the perspectives. They're not going to ask any questions on the perspectives, which is a bit sad, but anyway. So even in the frequently asked questions on the exams, they do give some information. Oh, let's see. The fees, exam. How much time? Where can I find? Yeah. I thought there was some questions. No. I thought I found somewhere information more on your on the types of questions. But well, I have to tell you, for these kind of stuff, you have to learn quite a lot. For example, let me open the. Let's see if I. Did I? Yeah, there you go. So for example, if you take a knowledge area, for example, they're talking about a given task. So the task is prepare for elicitation. They might ask, say, like, okay, so who is involved? The technique stakeholders, for example, stakeholders here. So they say, like, who of the following A, B, C, and D, it's always 4 multiple choice questions, are involved in the prepare for elicitation. And they give 3, 4 names, and one of those rows is not correct. Or for example, which techniques are used in preparation of elicitation. And they will give, let's say we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they give you 4 times. For A, you've got those 4 techniques. For B, you've got and there will be there will be 3 of those rows where there's always one technique which is not in this list. It's quite a lot. It's quite immense. And also they ask, like, okay, what kind of which outputs do you have for task? So they almost never ask questions on the whole knowledge area, but most of the questions is on tasks. So what kind of outputs do you have prepared for elicitation, or what are the inputs? And they also give 2, for example, 2 and 2 others and 2 others. So you have to learn a lot of things by heart. No.
As I understand, there are only multiple choice questions, or are there also like questions that you need to fill in with free text?
Even this case, it's multiple choice. Yeah, because it's done electronically. You're not able to type, and they have to be able to, because at the end of your session, you know if you passed or not. So okay. They have to be able to calculate it immediately. And what happens is they have a pool of a few thousands of questions, and they ask you, well, back in the days, it was 150 questions. So when you start this random picker and you have a distribution about BABOK questions, more scenario and more case-based questions, so that they, from each type of distribution, they pick a number of that type of questions. And it happens randomly when you start, when you click, okay, start. Is that a reply to your question, Mainor?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Other questions?
Where can we find practice questions?
Well, first of all, here. And for the rest, it's not provided by the IIBA themselves. This is the only one sample questions you get by the IIBA. You know that if you are participating to an exam, you are not allowed to take anything with you, so you can't record the questions that you had. And so there are quite a lot of books with exam preparation questions. And there are also a lot of, there are even a few endorsed education providers that where you can get training for on which you can get your PDs, PD hours, and that give also exam preparation questions. So, but you pay for that. But yeah, you can use it as a PD hours. So that's also something you could do. Because most of the EP, if you want to do endorsed, if you want to get a training by endorsed education provider, well, 99 out of 100, you will pay for that. So you might as well do an online. There's no difference, because that's even one of the frequently asked questions. Online or physical, there's no, as long as if the training is endorsed and given by an endorsed education provider, it's fine. It's fine. And you can as well take one of those exam preparation sessions with those, yeah, online. Good question.
Then Mohammed is asking, how much time do we have for the exam itself?
That was, back in the days, it was 3 hours and a half for 150 questions, and I can tell you, it's not enough exam questions. So again, how much time? Normally, exam preparation website. Maybe there's. Let's go to that. Who knows? Exam. All are offered as online. So yeah, you have some more. You have some more information on that. On the day on your exam. Yeah. That's typical. That should be very easy to find. 3 or 3.5 hours. Yeah. But how many questions? That is not clear. So yeah, you can take some paper sheets, scrap paper. Yeah, and here you get again the IIBA certification, frequently asked questions. So probably it's again 3 or 3.5 hours depending on the exam. And I don't know how many questions that you will need. No, I don't know. But maybe it's in there. I haven't looked it up because today I was preparing for the application. Other questions?
I don't see for the moment any questions popping up. Is there somebody else who has some more questions?
Now I have a question for you guys and girls. Sorry. People. How many of you are thinking of taking one of those exams in the following 2 years? Or getting a certification? Know that between the application and certification, you have 1 year to take the exam. So who amongst you is planning to do one of the core certification, explicitly the core? Because those other certifications, they are certificates. It's not a certification, professional certification, it's a certificate. So, Mayur, okay, anyone else? I can't see, okay.
Lucia is saying yes, some. Mohammed. So we have 3 so far.
Okay. And who among
1 yes?
As well.
1 yes also.
So
2 yeses also.
And
Jan also.
Oh no, okay. I'm going to stop sharing because I'm interested, so I can follow also.
And Sarchin as well. So
okay. And
we have some people that voted yes as well.
Okay. So, and who is going for an ECCBA? So we can do the voting. Could you erase the votes?
Yes.
Yes. So, who is going within 2 years wanting to go for the ECBA? You have a yes or a no. It's not the hand. ECBA. 2.
Martin,
okay.
Sam, and Sasha, I see.
Okay. Yeah. So who would like to go for a CCBA within the 2 years? So we erase everything. So who is wanting to go? So Martin, what? No.
No. Timothy Powells is going for.
I don't have the necessary experience, that's why.
Okay. So Timothy would like to go for a CCBA. Okay, and now the last question. Could you erase everyone? How many of you are going to try to get a CBAP within 2 years? Robin? Finally, Robin. Okay. Interesting. Okay, if there are no more questions, this will bring us to the end of the session. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you can use the information. We will make sure that you get the information and the slide deck and the Excel sheet. That will happen probably somewhere next week because I have to do some stuff before that. The next few days will be very busy, but I hope you enjoyed. Thank you, Lucia. And then we will end this session, and there will be a recording. This session has been recorded, and we will also share that information, probably upload it in our YouTube channel or whatever. And then, okay, you can stop the recording, Christoph.